The claiming ceremony was supposed to be the best night of my life. It became the last night of my old one. I stood in the center of the great hall, surrounded by every wolf in the Frost Fang pack. Torchlight flickered against stone walls. The smell of pine and wood smoke filled my lungs, and Robert Erner, my alpha, my betrothed, my future, walked toward me with disgust carved into his perfect face. "Remove her dress." The words didn't register, not at first. "Robert!" My voice cracked. "What are you—" Hands grabbed me from behind. Claws tore fabric. Cold air hit my skin as my ceremonial gown fell away, exposing the mark on my chest, the jagged scar, the broken lines that had haunted me since birth. Broken blood. That's what they called it. A curse. A stain. Proof that somewhere in my lineage, something had gone terribly wrong. Robert stared at the mark. His lip curled. I knew it. He turned to the pack, voice booming across the hall. "I knew she was hiding something. Look at her. Look at the filth she carries." "Robert, please." I reached for him. He slapped my hand away. "I reject this broken blood." The words hit me like a physical blow. I felt something tear inside my chest, not my heart, something deeper. The bond that had been forming between us shredded like wet paper. I collapsed to my knees. The pack watched. No one moved, no one spoke. Robert nodded to his enforcers. "Take her to the border. Let the storm have her." They dragged me through the snow. I screamed. I begged. I clawed at the frozen ground until my fingers bled. None of it mattered. They threw me into the blizzard like garbage, and the cold swallowed me whole. Cold doesn't burn at first. It numbs. It whispers. It wraps around you like a lover and tells you everything will be okay. Then it starts to eat. I lay in the snow, watching the blizzard swallow the sky. Flakes landed on my eyelashes, my lips, my bare chest where the mark pulsed, with shame. Broken blood. 24 years I had hidden it. 24 years of high collars and careful lies. I thought if I was good enough, kind enough, obedient enough, they would accept me anyway. I was wrong. The cold crept deeper. My fingers stopped hurting, then my toes, then everything below my knees. This is how I die. The thought should have terrified me. Instead, it felt like relief. No more hiding, no more pretending, no more watching Robert's eyes slide past me like I was furniture. No more wondering if today was the day they would finally see the mark and cast me out. They had seen it. They had cast me out. And now the snow would finish what they started. I closed my eyes. "Mother, I'm sorry. I tried. I really tried." The wind howled. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf cried out, not from my pack. A stranger, a rival. It didn't matter anymore. Nothing mattered anymore. My heartbeat slowed. The-thump, the-thump, the... And then, warmth. Not from outside, from within. The mark on my chest began to heat. Slowly at first, like embers stirring in dead ash. Then brighter, hotter. A coal pressed against my sternum. My eyes flew open. The jagged lines were glowing. Not red, not gold. Silver, lunar silver, bright as moonlight, pulsing in rhythm with my fading heart. The snow around me began to melt. Steam rose from my skin. What? I tried to sit up. My body refused. The cold had taken too much. The warmth was too late, but the mark kept burning, kept calling, kept screaming into the storm like a beacon. I heard footsteps, heavy, crunching through snow, coming closer. Robert, he's come to finish me. I didn't have the strength to run, didn't have the strength to fight. I just lay there, glowing like a dying star, waiting for the killing blow. The footsteps stopped. A shadow fell over me. I looked up. He was massive, taller than Robert, broader. His shoulders blocked out the storm. His eyes were molten gold, wolf eyes, alpha eyes, but not Robert's. This wolf was a stranger, a rival, and he was staring at the mark on my chest like he had seen a ghost. "Impossible!" he breathed. His voice was deep, rough, accented with something old and northern. He knelt beside me, removed his fur cloak, wrapped it around my frozen body. "Who?" I tried to speak. Failed. Tried again. "Who are you?" He lifted me from the snow like I weighed nothing. "Ivan Volkov." Then the darkness took me. I should have been afraid. A strange alpha carrying me through a blizzard. A rival wolf from a rival pack. Every story I had ever heard said this was how Omegas disappeared. Stolen in the night. Claimed by force. Broken into submission. But I wasn't afraid. I was too cold to be afraid. Too tired, too dead inside. So I let him carry me. Ivan Volkov moved through the storm like it was nothing. Like the wind and snow were minor inconveniences rather than killing forces. His arms were iron bands around my body. His chest radiated heat like a furnace. I pressed closer without meaning to. He didn't speak, didn't explain, just walked. The blizzard screamed around us. Ice crystals cut at my exposed skin. But wrapped in his cloak, pressed against his chest, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Safe. Stupid, I told myself. You don't know him. You don't know what he wants. But my body didn't care. My body was dying, and this stranger was warm, and that was enough. Time became meaningless. Minutes or hours. I couldn't tell. The cold had scrambled my thoughts, turned my mind into a frozen wasteland where nothing grew. I drifted. Memories floated past like ice on a river. My mother's face, Robert's sneer, the gasps of the pack when they saw my mark. Broken blood. Broken blood. Broken... Stay awake. Ivan's voice cut through the fog. Sharp, commanding. Tired, I mumbled. I know. Stay awake anyway. Can't. He shook me, not hard, just enough to rattle my fading consciousness. You survived the rejection. You survived the cold. You do. Not get to die in my arms, little wolf. Not after all that. Little wolf. The words should have been condescending. Instead, they sounded almost tender. I forced my eyes open. His jaw was clenched. His golden eyes were fixed ahead. Snow clung to his dark hair, his beard, his eyelashes. He looked like a creature carved from winter itself. Beautiful. Where did that thought come from? Why? I managed. Why what? Why save me? You don't know me. He was silent for a long moment. The storm raged. His boots crunched through the snow. I know enough. What does that mean? He looked down at me. Those molten eyes pierced through the blizzard, through my defenses, through everything I had built to protect myself. It means I saw your mark. My blood went colder than the snow. It's broken blood. I'm cursed. You should leave me. That mark is not broken blood. I blinked. What? He didn't answer. Ahead, through the swirling white, I saw lights. Torches, stone walls rising. From the mountain, like teeth. A fortress. Welcome to Stone Ridge, Ivan said. He carried me through the gates, and for the first time in my life, I entered a pack that didn't want me dead. Fire. That was the first thing I became aware of. The crackle and pop of burning wood, the dance of orange light against my closed eyelids, the blessed, impossible warmth seeping into my frozen bones. I wasn't dead. Why wasn't I dead? I tried to open my eyes. Failed. Tried again. The lids felt like they were sewn shut with ice. Don't force it, Ivan's voice. Low, close. You've been unconscious for 6 hours. Your body is still thawing. 6 hours. I had been out for 6 hours. The rejection, the blizzard, the endless cold. It all felt like a nightmare, a fever dream. But the ache in my chest told me it was real. I managed to crack my eyes open. Stone walls, timber ceiling, furs, so many furs, piled beneath me and over me like a nest. A massive fireplace dominated one wall, flames roaring. Inside it, like caged beasts. And Ivan. He sat in a chair beside the bed, elbows on his knees, watching me with those impossible golden eyes. Where? My throat was raw, shredded. Where am I? My lodge, within Stone Ridge territory. Your lodge? I am the alpha here. Of course he was. I had been rescued by one alpha only to end up in the den of another. Out of the blizzard and into the wolf's mouth. I should have been terrified. I wasn't. You're safe now, Ivan said, as if he could read my thoughts. No one will hurt you here. You don't know that. I do. His voice hardened. Because anyone who tries will answer to me. I stared at him, this stranger, this rival, this wolf who had pulled me from the snow and carried me through a storm. Why? I whispered. Why do you care? He didn't answer. The fire crackled, and somewhere in the lodge a door creaked open. She was ancient. That was my first thought when the old woman shuffled into the room. Her face was a map of wrinkles. Her hair, white as the blizzard outside, hung in a long braid down her back. Her eyes were milky, clouded with age. But those eyes sharpened the moment they found me. Yelena? Ivan rose from his chair. She's awake. The old woman didn't acknowledge him. She moved toward the bed with purpose, her gnarled hands already reaching for my blankets. Wait, I tried to pull back. What are you? Hush, child. Her voice was dry leaves scraping stone. She tugged the furs down, exposing my chest, exposing the mark. I flinched, waited for the disgust, the revulsion, the same look I had seen in Robert's eyes. It didn't come. Instead, Yelena went still. Her clouded eyes widened. Her weathered hands began to tremble. She reached out, fingers hovering over the jagged lines like she was afraid to touch them. Impossible, she breathed. After all these years? What? I looked between her and Ivan. What is it? Yelena ignored me. She turned to Ivan and spoke rapidly in a language I didn't understand. Old words, guttural, heavy with meaning. Ivan's face changed. I had thought him unreadable before. Stone and iron and golden eyes. But now something cracked behind his expression. Something like shock. Something like awe. Are you certain? He asked. Yelena nodded. I would know that sigil anywhere. I served her grandmother. Served who? I pushed myself up on my elbows. What sigil? What are you talking about? The old healer turned back to me, and for the first time, I saw tears in those ancient clouded eyes. She spoke one word, just one, but it changed everything. Sovereign. The fire crackled, the wind howled, and the mark on my chest began to glow. That night, the fever came. It crashed over me like a wave, hot and cold and everywhere at once. My body convulsed. Sweat soaked the furs. The mark on my chest blazed so bright it turned the room silver. And then I was somewhere else, a throne room, massive, ancient, pillars of white stone reaching toward a ceiling lost in shadow. The floor was polished obsidian, reflecting a moon that shouldn't have been visible indoors. Wolves surrounded me, hundreds of them, thousands, all kneeling, all bowing their heads. To me, a crown materialized above my head, silver and moonlight and something older than time. It descended slowly, hovering just above my brow. A voice echoed through the chamber. You are not broken. You were never broken. They knew what you were. They feared what you would become. I woke screaming. But for the first time in my life, I understood. Robert hadn't rejected me because I was weak. He had rejected me because I was powerful, and he was terrified. 3 days passed. 3 days of broth and silence and Yelena's watchful eyes. 3 days of the mark on my chest glowing faintly every time I dreamed. 3 days of questions I was too afraid to ask. On the 4th morning, Ivan came to me. He stood in the doorway of the lodge, blocking the pale winter light. In his hands, he held something dark and heavy, a fur cloak. Not the one he had wrapped around me in the blizzard. That one was still draped over my bed, smelling of pine and smoke and him. This cloak was new, black as midnight, thick enough to stop a blade. He crossed the room and laid it at the foot of my bed. What is this? I asked. A choice. I stared at him. I don't understand. Ivan lowered himself into the chair beside my bed, the same chair he had occupied every night since he brought me here. I had pretended not to notice, pretended his presence didn't make me feel something I had no right to feel. You are not my prisoner, Julia. My name. He had never used it before. The sound of it on his lips sent a shiver down my spine that had nothing to do with the cold. Yelena has told me what you are, he continued. What your mark means. You are the last living heir of the lunar sovereigns, the bloodline that once ruled all wolves. I don't want to rule anyone. I know. His golden eyes held. When? He will come. Men like him cannot allow threats to live. Ivan's jaw tightened. When he comes, you will be ready. I looked at the cloak, at the door, at the Alpha who had given me something no one ever had. A choice. I'll stay. Ivan nodded. If he was relieved, he didn't show it. But I saw his hand relax on the arm of the chair, and that was enough. Yelena was not a gentle teacher. Again, I stood in the center of Ivan's training hall, a cavernous room of stone and timber, lit by torches that cast dancing shadows on the walls. Sweat dripped down my temples. My muscles screamed. The mark on my chest flickered weakly. I can't. I gasped. It won't listen to me. It is not a dog to be commanded. Yelena circled me like a vulture. It is blood, your blood. It responds to what you feel, not what you want. I don't feel anything. Lie. I gritted my teeth. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. The word cut through my excuses. I stopped. Yes, I admitted. I'm angry. Good. Yelena's weathered face twisted into something like approval. Anger is fuel. Use it. How? Think of him, the one who threw you away. Think of his face when he tore your dress. Think of his voice when he spoke those words. I reject this broken blood. The memory crashed over me. Robert's sneer, the pack's silence, the cold bite of the blizzard as they dragged me to my death. The mark flared. Not a flicker this time, a blaze. Silver fire erupted from my chest, spilling light across the training hall like liquid moonlight. Yes, Yelena hissed. There it is. I stared at my hands. They were glowing. Veins of silver traced up my arms, pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat. I feel it, I whispered. I feel everything. Rage awakens the blood, but rage alone will consume you. Yelena gripped my shoulders, her ancient strength surprising. Now, calm it. Breathe. Let the fire settle into embers. I tried. The power fought me, wild, hungry, desperate to burn. I can't. Control it. You can. You must. Breathe, child. Find the stillness beneath the storm. I closed my eyes, inhaled, exhaled. The flames resisted. Then slowly, they began to dim. The silver light receded, drawing back into the mark like a tide returning to the sea. When I opened my eyes, the glow was steady, calm. A gentle pulse instead of a raging inferno. Better. Yelena released me. Much better. I looked down at my chest. The mark still glowed, but softly now, controlled. For the first time in my life, it didn't feel like a curse. It felt like a weapon. You have much to learn, Yelena said, but the foundation is there. The blood remembers what your mind has forgotten. Movement caught my eye. Ivan stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching from the shadows. I didn't know how long he had been there, didn't know how much he had seen. Our eyes met. Something shifted in his golden gaze, something fierce and protective and barely restrained. He said nothing. He didn't need to. The mark on my chest pulsed brighter, and I realized, with terrifying clarity, that the power wasn't the only thing awakening inside me. He came on the 7th day. I was in the training hall when the horns sounded. 3 long blasts, the Stone Ridge warning signal. Enemy at the border. My blood already knew who it was. Ivan burst through the doors, his face carved from granite. He's here. I didn't need to ask who. We moved through the fortress together, climbing the stone steps to the northern wall. The wind cut at my face, but I barely felt it. The mark on my chest burned hot, sensing the threat before my eyes could confirm it. Then I saw him. Robert Erner stood at the border of Stone Ridge territory, flanked by 20 warriors in Frost Fang colors. His golden hair whipped in the wind. His jaw was set with the arrogance I remembered, the arrogance I had once mistaken for strength. But his eyes were different. They were afraid. "Julia Kruger!" His voice boomed across the snowy expanse. "I know you're in there, Broken Blood. Come out and face your alpha." "He is not your alpha." Ivan's voice was low, dangerous. His hand rested on the hilt of his blade. "He never was," I replied. Robert stepped forward. "I've come to correct a mistake. The Omega should have died in the blizzard. Instead, she was stolen by a rival pack." He spat on the ground. "Return her to me, Volkov. This doesn't have to end in blood." Ivan laughed. It was not a kind sound. "You threw her away like garbage. Now you want her back?" He shook his head. "No, she stays." "This is not a negotiation." "You're right. It isn't." Robert's face twisted with rage. His warriors shifted behind him, hands moving to weapons. Then Stone Ridge chooses war. Over a broken Omega. Over trash. Something snapped inside me. I stepped forward, pushing past Ivan before he could stop me. The wind swirled around my body. The mark on my chest blazed silver, visible even through my clothes. "Trash?" My voice rang out across the border. Steady, cold, nothing like the girl who had begged on her knees 7 days ago. "Is that what you call the last heir of the Lunar Sovereigns?" Robert's face went pale. "Impossible. You knew." I descended the steps, walking toward him with power crackling beneath my skin. "You always knew. That's why you rejected me. Not because I was broken, because I was more than you could ever be." "Stay back!" Robert drew his sword. His warriors followed. "I'm warning you!" "You came to kill me, Robert." I stopped 10 feet from the border. The mark erupted. Silver light poured from my chest, my hands, my eyes. The snow at my feet melted. The air itself seemed to bow. You should have stayed home. Ivan moved to stand beside me, blade drawn. I stopped him with a hand on his chest. No. My eyes never left Robert. He's mine. Robert charged. It was a desperate move, a coward's move. He closed the distance between us with supernatural speed, sword raised, aiming to end me before I could unleash what was building inside. He was too slow. I raised my hand. The silver light responded, not like fire, not like lightning, but like something older. Something that had existed before the first wolves walked the earth. It wrapped around Robert mid-stride, freezing him in place. His sword clattered to the snow. What? He thrashed against the invisible bonds. What is this? What are you doing to me? I walked toward him. Slowly, each step deliberate. The power hummed through my veins, ancient words rising from somewhere deep in my blood. Yelena had taught me this. The old tongue, the sovereign's right. You rejected me because of my blood, I said. Called it broken. Called it filth. I stopped inches from his face. But my blood isn't broken, Robert. It's royal, and it remembers what your bloodline did to mine. His eyes widened. Julia, wait, we can talk about this. Talk? I laughed. It sounded like moonlight on frozen steel. You threw me into a blizzard to die. There's nothing to talk about. I pressed my glowing palm against his chest. He screamed. The power surged, not into him, but through him. I felt it grab hold of something deep inside his core. His alpha essence, the wolf that made him strong. And I pulled. Silver light ripped from his body like smoke torn by a hurricane. His muscles withered, his golden eyes dimmed. The authority that had made Pax bow before him shredded into nothing. He collapsed at my feet. Omega, powerless, nothing. I leaned down and whispered in his ear. I reject this broken blood. I straightened. Yours. Robert Erner wept in the snow, and I felt nothing at all. The Frostfang warriors fled. They dragged their broken alpha behind them, stumbling through the snow like frightened pups. Not one of them looked back. I stood at the border, silver light still flickering across my skin, watching them disappear into the blizzard that had almost killed me 7 days ago. Footsteps crunched behind me. Ivan. He stopped at my shoulder. Not in front of me, beside me, not as my alpha, as my equal. How do you feel? I considered the question. The mark on my chest pulsed steady and warm. The power hummed quietly in my blood, no longer raging, no longer fighting, just waiting. Like myself, I said, for the first time ever. He nodded, said nothing. We stood together in the falling snow, the rival alpha and the girl they had thrown away, the monster and the sovereign. I was no longer broken. I was no longer afraid. I was home. If this story set your soul on fire, subscribe and ring the bell. Because Julia's journey, it's only just beginning.